April Fools, the Ocarina of Time remake is real. Tonight, the funniest moments in gaming and the pranks that made an industry laugh. Tonight on The Game Show. This is BreakmanX, and welcome to the game show on April 1st, 2026. April Fools. April Fools. How's it going, Jess?
It's going. Been crazy busy this week, as I have been for quite a while, but the end is in sight, so that's nice.
Nice. I'm glad the end is in sight. Is that an April Fool's or is that real Fools?
I hope it's not April Fool's.
Me too. And Logan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. I'm feeling great. Today was the last day of my grocery store job, and I'm feeling excited about the internship. I'm starting with Philly Creative next week, so
good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But I have to ask, did anybody pull an April Fool's joke today? I didn't, so I'm curious what the people did.
Total missed opportunity, although the day's not done, and my wife loves to pull pranks, so we'll see if there's something going on after the show. So,
Fair enough.
Yeah, so we'll see. But super stoked to be doing the show tonight. We're BreakmanX youth team tonight. With the young folks. Everyone else is off for various reasons, but excited to get down here. So tonight we are talking about funny games, and we're, April Fools, pranks, and all that kind of stuff, which was really fun. I'm glad Jess noticed it and kind of adjusted the schedule, because there's some funny things that I'd honestly kind of forgotten about. So I'm glad to get to talk about them. So it's going to be fun. So before we dive in, let's do the news segment here, which is kind of funny because the show used to be all news. So it's like kind of old school to start with. But the big news for me, at least, is the Ocarina of Time remake for Switch 2. And it's reported by Nate the Hate, which is a great name, who's a notorious Nintendo leaker who has had good success with leaking in the past. And it's also been corroborated by VGC, that their sources basically said the same thing independently. And there was also a comment somewhere online by another person that predates this too, but I don't remember the nickname of that person. But supposedly it's going to be a full remake of Ocarina of Time coming out fall 2026. So it's basically done. Or close to done. In addition to that, just as exciting, I think, is a new Star Fox game. And the report of that is it's going to have really awesome visuals. It looks really great, and it's going to have classic gameplay. I think what they mean by that is no Star Fox Zero stuff. It's going to go back to the 64 roots potentially, and then also online multiplayer, which is so not Nintendo.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Maybe Splatoon got him into that. I don't know, but
Splatoon, Smash Bros.
There you go. And I'm pretty excited. I love Star Fox, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Interestingly enough, it was also leaked around the time that Fox McCloud was leaked in the Super Mario Galaxy
I knew
movie.
Fox McCloud was a tease for a game at the very least. Like,
You think, right?
I'm suspicious they're building to a Smash Bros. Movie now, but they were going to do something with that character specifically, given how much focus they're putting on him.
You would think, Stu. Fenris in the Discord was saying, "Oh, maybe it could be like I think he was messing with me." He said Star Fox Adventures, which was the GameCube game that I actually liked. But if it's that, I'm gonna be disappointed because I want classic gameplay, like it says. The other thing is, there's gonna be a new 3D Mario out in 2027. That they're working on. So this is pretty big news all around. Supposedly, their original plan was to announce it in June 2026. So far, they haven't changed their plans of the announcements, but you kind of wonder with how viral this has gone everywhere. It's being reported by all the major outlets now, that they might have to adjust that. A couple other bits from this. The new Fire Emblem is going to be shown there, a new Splatoon, and then Switch 2 update versions of Pikmin 4 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Nice.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yes. Go Nintendo. I'm pretty happy about that. I think Triforce on My Life in Gaming was talking about on their Discord about how he hoped they kept some of the Ocarina of Time things that made it really great. Like one of the really cool things of the last Ganon boss is that you can't really see him and you only see bits and pieces of him in lightning. But when they released it on the 3DS, it was really well lit. You could see everything and it wasn't as cool. So there's that. All right, and now the weekly mention of the game that I don't care about, but everyone else does. GTA 6. So just a small tidbit, but with multiplayer news, they're going to actively punish players for crimes in the game. And I wonder, like I saw this and I'm like, is this an April Fool's joke? Because it seems April Fool's-y. But supposedly it's real, unless that the news outlets have just kind of, eaten it. But so the ones that they have announced and are willing to confirm so far are littering, a $10,000 fine in the game, Grand Theft Auto, 23-hour sentence, speeding, 2-hour sentence, discharging a firearm, 10-hour sentence, and public intoxication, $90,000 fine in the game. I don't know. Do either of you like GTA?
I've not played any GTA.
So then, Jess, how do you feel about these?
Fascinating.
Right.
You're right. It doesn't feel like it is real.
Right.
It doesn't
especially
feel real to
considering
me
how
either.
most people play GTA.
It seems really weird.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, that's very bizarre.
Unless it's like a mini game to break out of jail or something, like it adds content to it. It just seems like bizarre. I mean, again, I'm not the right person.
Something.
It's got to be something. I'm not the right person to ask about this because I just, through lots of trying, I just have not been able to get into those games. My own fault. But yeah.
Well, so I hope that those hour sentences are in-game hours and not like real hours. Your character's just locked in there for a full real-world day.
Yeah, it seems bizarre unless there's like some kind of in-game sequence that happens where you can break out or something. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, there's got to be something. That would be fun. I would be on board with that. But I'm just like, that is aggressive. Considering considering the game is Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and you would get punished for Grand Theft Auto.
That's ridiculous.
I think they're trying to get.
So surely there's more to it.
Could be just they're trying to get people to talk about it, which succeeded, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have mentioned it. Another cool news: Saros is Gold. That's the spiritual successor to Returnal, and the April 30th release date is firm and confirmed. Did either of you play Returnal?
No.
It's pretty cool. It's like a roguelike for the PS5. I'm not usually a fan of roguelikes, but I did try it. It's pretty cool. So I'm interested to see where that goes. So a loss here coming up for Nintendo. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has revoked Nintendo's patent on summoning characters into battle, specifically relating to Pokemon.
I don't know how you could even attempt to patent that.
Nintendo attempted it, and I'm sure it's not in any way connected to their lawsuit.
Definitely not.
In no way would that be connected. So then to round out here the news, let's talk about some big April releases. We've got Pragmata, I think. Pokemon Champions. All the Pokemon fans in the house. Yay. And then Starfield for Starfield for PS5. And then Hades 2 is getting the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S port. Oh, and then the last thing released directly to April Fools. So this was a really funny video if you haven't seen it yet. But CD Projekt Red announced the Project Roach controller, and it's like a little like toy horse, like like a kid would have, like on like a broom type thing. And it's like supposedly that's a controller that you can ride the horse in The Witcher.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a really funny video, and they like show him like motion capturing it and stuff. Like they went all out on the video. They spent some time on it. So it really hits, I think.
I'll have to look that up later.
Yeah, you guys should check. You should definitely check it out. So, should we get into some pranks and April Fools situations?
Sure.
So, I'm going to start with a different one because I want to do this one in a minute. Because I want to start out with my favorite one, and that is GLaDOS from Portal. All of the lines are really funny. This isn't a prank, obviously. This is part of the best comedic moments in games, but so many of them are so good. But the song, of course, "While You're Dying, I'll Be Still Alive," and then during the boss fight, like, "I'm gonna kill you and all the cake is gone." Earlier, "Did you hear me? I said you don't care. Are you listening? Neurotoxin." So deadly. I love it. It's and my favorite ones are the ones when you're like throwing the heart and the thing into the fire and all that, and then you get the "I'm not even angry even though you broke my heart and killed me." I just think the way that all of those lines are delivered are so funny. So, and I know there's other fans of Portal in the house, so feel free to expand. I don't want to take all the Portal love.
I'm a big fan of the turrets. I think the turrets are really, really fun inclusions. Like they'll have the most random lines. You'll hear them complaining about different things as you go through a level, and throw out the most ridiculous threats as you're going through. And then just the animation of them is really fun, especially with like the music video in Portal 2, where they're singing a whole musical number on the way out. I believe is where that was at the very end of the game. Yeah. Portal has a nice sense of humor.
It has a great sense of humor, and was the first game, to my recollection, that was added to university curriculums. Back when Western Civ was a thing, it was some universities would have Portal to study this period of Western civilization. As you should. So yeah, if you haven't played Portal, definitely play it. All right, Jess, what's your first one?
So my first one is a moment in Dragon Age Inquisition, where you, as the Inquisitor, you've gotten a Skyhold, and it's your job to start judging people. And it's after you come back from fighting with the Avar, and Mavran the Under you're told by Josephine, is attacking Skyhold with a goat. and then it cuts to the wall of Skyhold, and a goat just flies across the air and hits the wall and like slides down. And the first time I watched that, I literally burst out laughing because it's really the only instance in like Dragon Age games where they use like that kind of humor. Like there's characters that are funny and like silly lines, but like it was the like he's attacking the wall with a goat and like cut to a goat like screaming and flying through the air, and it like caught me off guard in a way that nothing else really in that game did, and I just lost it the first time I saw it.
That's great. So literally laugh out loud funny.
It was. And it was just because it was so shocking, because I was not expecting cut to goat.
Nice. It sounds great. I still need to play that.
You haven't played Dragon Age Inquisition?
I should say play more of it. I need to beat it. I feel sheepish.
That's a good one. It's not my favorite Dragon Age, but it is a good game so long as you don't get endlessly lost in the hinterlands doing fetch quests.
Awesome. We need to do, at some point, when we have more time, so never, but a thing where we recommend games for each other and then come back and talk about them. That would be fun.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah,
I would play a lot of Pokemon, which is fine.
Yes, we would make you play a lot of Pokemon.
Which is fine. All right, Logan, what's your first one?
Yeah, so my first one is a game called Brawl Stars. It's a game that I play with my friends a lot when we get together for like group hangouts. And it's a ragdoll wrestling fighting game. And you're basically controlling these player controllers that are ragdolls the whole time, and you have controls that like allow you to manage your limbs and the angle you swing and that kind of stuff, and you all are fighting each other. And this is the thumbnail for the video today. And
which I just want to say, potentially my favorite thumbnail so far. It really pops. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It really pops.
That's fun. The characters will make like these absurd screams sometimes when you're fighting with them. And the levels can get to be really, really hilarious sometimes. Like I know there's this one aquarium level where there's just like sharks in the fish tank that will sometimes like flop out and you have to avoid, and there's a giant like kraken with arms just kind of wildly flailing that you have to avoid, and they'll like grab people sometimes, and it's kind of a great game to play and laugh.
So they released the kraken?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Nice. I had to say it. Okay. So if you would like to interact with us, you can go on their YouTube where you're watching right now and just comment, and I will read them on air. If you do it during the week when we're not live, I do read those and reply to all those. I have to say, so the GameCube video and the related shorts, the comments on YouTube are very like, oh, I love your video, or yeah, the GameCube, I have such great memories and all that stuff. And then the comments on TikTok are like, Halo. Like, no, Halo is the best, which reminds me of certain arguments that I used to have with someone who's not here tonight. But there were lots of comments, like, and every time I look and see that there's a new content on one of the TikTok videos, it generally has to do with Halo. And then other people were like fighting amongst themselves about Halo, especially like between Halo and Resident Evil. So it's been fun to see those. And I try to comment, respond back to them. But so if you want to comment, please comment below. We'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Do the things. That would be awesome. So my next one, this one I remember, this is a little bit ago. I want to say 2016, 2017. But Nier Automata, and I always say that probably how you're not supposed to. It could be Automata, but Nier in any way. So near the end of the game, and it's like earlier in the game, and if you a credit sequence rolls. Have you guys heard of this one? It became kind of memey. So if you a credit sequence starts to roll as if the game is over, and if you skip it, you have basically a bait and switch, and it permanently deletes your save files. Which they considered a consequence for not paying attention. And it, like, if you look it up, people went nuts about it back in the day, which you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Because you had games, like Eternal Darkness on the GameCube that acted like your memory card was corrupt. You had, we talked about another one recently where that happened too. There's a few games that have tried that, but never actually deleted them. That's literally, I have the Mem Card Pros, which back up your memory cards automatically to Google Drive. That's like how paranoid I am. To have saves, because I'd love to preserve saves. So, but yeah, what a terrible thing to happen.
That's crazy. Like, I know a couple, like you said, that threaten it or like make it seem like you did, but now I didn't realize that it actually really did it. That's crazy.
Kooky.
I can't believe you go so far as to actually reset progress. That's nuts.
All right, Jess, what's your next one?
So my next one is going to be Baldur's Gate 3. Now, there are a lot of moments in that game that are hilarious, but when I was thinking back to it, the one that popped into my head was there's a scene where, like, you come up and you find that this gnome has been tied to a windmill and is, like, going around in circles, and you're supposed to try to get him down, and there are 2 levers, and if you're not careful and you don't pay attention and you pull the wrong lever, you just kind of launch him across the sky by accident instead of putting him down. Oh my god,
that's hilarious.
It's horrible, and it's so funny because he literally just goes flying. And it's like, I remember it being like a huge meme on the internet too, of the Emperor's New Groove, pull the lever, wrong lever thing. And it really is just, and I pulled the wrong lever when I played through it the first time, because I don't maybe pay as much attention when I'm playing Baldur's Gate as I should, and I get distracted by everything that's going on, and so I didn't even see that there were 2 levers, and so I just pulled what I thought was the only lever, and then quickly found out that it was the wrong decision as I flung this poor little guy just into the sky.
So does he make like a funny noise when he flies off?
Yeah, he kind of just like screams. And the entire time, as you're like trying to figure out how to get him down, he's like begging you to help him. And so, like, it's funny, and then you feel bad because it's funny, because you do actually feel bad for this poor dude. But it just is so comical. You just fling him. That's
great. I love it. That makes me want to like see that scene. Sounds really funny. All right. What are you going to tell me about, Logan?
Yes. So next game I'm going to talk about is Crab Game. And this was a game made by actually an indie game dev YouTuber that has disappeared from the platform named Danny. This was like at the height of his reputation. And it's basically just a mini game collection you play with your friends. All the avatars have this real like uncanny look to them, but like in a goofy sort of way. And lots of absurd scenarios. Like you've got bomb tag, where you're basically playing hot potato with a bomb. And you've got there's, I think it's a game where you're stealing a hat from people. Like you're trying to be the one wearing the hat at the end of the round, and you can be as violent as you want to get the hat. And various different things like that. One of them was bustling buttons is what it's called, and you're basically trying to be you're trying to press. You're all pressing buttons, and one of them causes the character to explode, and you don't know which one it is. So you basically just have the nerve-wracking press a button, see what happens type of gameplay. There's no strategy to it, but it's kind of what makes it funny. And very much inspired by Squid Game. It's Squid Game parody. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Cool. See, this is fun. I don't know like most of the ones you guys are talking about, so I'm learning tonight. So this next one is pretty famous, or at least it was back in the olden days. But it comes from Final Fantasy IV, or originally released in the United States as Final Fantasy II. But you have Tella confronting Edward. Edward had secretly been, pursuing the daughter Anna, and Tella is really mad and like really like rageful and grieving because Anna died as a result of this and her running off with him and all that. So it's a super intense, which is what makes it so funny, because it's a super intense, tonally charged scene, and to find the insult that he's going to go for this intenseness, he goes to Edward and says, "You spoony bard." Okay, and so it's like hilarious because it's supposed to be this intense moment, and it's such a break in what you're experiencing. And the story to this goes even deeper because the translation for this was most likely done by Ted Woolsey. He has not ever given a firm answer as to why this particular phrase was chosen. And the translations during this time were all done by people being super overworked and underpaid and having to translate massive scripts in a very short amount of time. So what most people have settled on is that it was probably just a quick choice that as they were quickly trying to translate, but because they use such a bizarre word like spoony, which is an actual English word. It means foolishly sentimental, weakly lovesick, or infatuated to the point of usefulness. I had to look it up. But it's like a super archaic word. Like no one would say that now, or even back in 1991. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. And for a long time, if you were a JRPG fan or you frequented any JRPG website or interaction with fans of that genre, people would randomly call each other spoony bards.
I do feel like I've heard that before. I never knew like what it was from or what the backstory to it was. But I don't know. I feel like we need to bring Spoony back. I like that.
I like it too. When I first played Final Fantasy II, I was so young that I had no idea like what was happening, and I didn't even know that was like a bizarre thing. I was kind of like didn't know what it was, but I just being so young, I just accepted it. But when I learned about it later, I thought it was really funny. Like this grieving father is, "You spoony bard." So
That is hilarious.
Yeah. I love plays on words too. So if you like play on words, then you probably like it even more. All right, Jess, what's your next one?
My next one is the Stanley Parable, which is just so much fun. And as I have established many times, I love a game where I can just be an utter menace. And the idea that the entire premise is just you're being guided through this thing and you can either listen or not. And if you don't, you just kind of get very exasperatedly berated by the narrator. It's so much fun, and there are so many just like hilarious lines and so many like branching options. It's just such a great game, and I find absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I actually I've seen that I saw that come up on an article today somewhere. So I think it's one that a lot of people like. So that's a great choice. Great choice.
It was a pretty big deal when it came out. I remember it being a really big deal too in like the YouTube Let's Play space of like everyone was playing it when it came out, and it's so much fun, and like you just find yourself, or at least I find myself like yelling back at the narrator as like you go through things, and the more you get like chastised for not doing what he says, the more like fun it gets to continue to frustrate him, and the situations you find yourself in just get crazier and crazier as time goes on. So I highly suggest playing it if you have not.
That sounds great. I wish we could pause time, because every time you guys talk about games, I just want to play it like right away. So it bums me out that I can't, but I will definitely put it on my list. Dispatch, I think, is going to be the next one I play.
Yes,
that's the one that
would also.
I have the demo, so I can at least like start to experience it, and then once I actually have time, I'm going to get the full game.
Mm-hmm. That one would also fit really well on this list. It's not on my list for tonight, but it is also a very funny game.
I just love when the humor actually lands, because for a long time, video games weren't really, or when I was young, weren't really able to pull off humor that way, and most of it is like you Spoony Bard, where it's like a mistake. So the fact the fact that they can actually pull it off now in a way that it's like effective humor, I think is awesome, and I love hearing about it, because you know most of it was like cringeworthy stuff, or you know stuff like that. So very, very cool. All right, Logan.
Yes.
What's your next one?
So this is another game from Danny. This is the only other Danny game I'll mention tonight, but it's called Muck, and it is basically a parody of Minecraft in a strange way. You play as like a caveman, and you're basically, your goal is to collect 5 gems and beat a dragon at the end of the game, but like everything has kind of a similar, absurd style to it. Kind of like Crab Game. They're very much cut from the same cloth. And you got enemies like Dave and Big Chunk, if that lets you know what the style of this game is. And you've got like cows that, whenever they look side to side, their whole like neck just kind of bends in an odd way, because the animation was made very poorly, in a fun sort of way. It actually kind of balances humor, like the absurd situation you're in, with challenge in an interesting way, because the game can get kind of difficult at times and really get your adrenaline going. Like Big Chunk, the enemy that I mentioned, that's a pretty difficult boss character in the game, but it's still like got this humorous environment that you're playing in, so you're never taking it too seriously, but like it's got a nice clash, nice contrast of emotions going on there.
Nice.
It's a nice high energy experience.
Cool. And Jack Burton writes in, Tim Schafer is the goat of funny games, and he did like Day of the Tentacle, Secret of Monkey Island, and my favorite video game name of all time, which I just used to say randomly, and that is Grim Fandango. That's my favorite video game title, like actual like naming convention. I love that. So cool. All right. Wow, you guys have a lot more of these than me, so I'm excited I did more in the April Fool's section, but I'm excited to hear you guys ones with this. So my next one comes from Katamari Damacy, which in general is just a super fun game to play. And if Jack was here, I would mention, like I always do, that initially when I was seeing this game, I didn't think it looked interesting, because you literally go around rolling things up. But so the king of cosmos basically gets so drunk that he accidentally destroys all the stars, as you do, you know, when you're the king of cosmos. And so he sends his son to roll up everything on Earth to replace all the stars that he destroyed during his drunkenness. And what's really cool about it too is the king of cosmos gives these like monologues that are like way over the top, and given the like situation I just described, make it even funnier. And just in general, like even beyond the humor though, Katamari Damacy is such a fun game to play. The music is so whimsical and fun, and so just rolling around and picking everything up is just a joyous old time. Have either of you played Katamari?
No.
Not.
It is, I believe the original was remade or remastered or something along the lines of that on the recent Xbox systems. I bet Jack will know because he loves Katamari. But, cool. All right, Jess, what's your next pick?
My next pick is going to be Untitled Goose Game, which is also just a hilarious title for a game. You just play as this little goose that runs around terrorizing this like small English town. And it's a puzzle game, but essentially it's how can you make the lives of these human beings difficult by causing mischief. I think one of my favorite moments in it, there's like this little kid, and you can like run up to him and like steal this like little toy airplane thing that he has and run off with it, and then the kid chases after you and he falls and like face plants and his glasses fall off, and then you can like double back and steal the glasses. But it's just kind of like that caliber of how can I cause chaos, and you can just walk around just honking and scaring people, or just like chase people around. So it's just every opportunity to be a menace as a little goose. And like it came out with like a bunch of like memes too. Like there's memes of like the little goose with like a knife in its mouth, and it's the like peace was never an option meme thing that came out when the game came out. But it's really fun, and again, most of these are just me being a menace for today's episode. So
it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's fun to be a menace to society. Yeah. Best use of a goose in a game.
Yep.
I would
they
say
are menaces, so like you might as well capitalize on it.
I think there's a lot of untapped potential in the goose game market. There's plenty of ways you can use goose in strange scenarios.
I experienced the menace of geese, whatever, firsthand many years ago. This is a loose cannon story. But we went to like this little creek area, and he wanted to feed the geese that day. So we had bread. Don't feed the geese. Okay. No. And that's like, I thought I had heard that, and I briefly was like, hey, aren't you like not supposed to feed geese? He's like, no, it'll be fun. They'll love it. So they get really mad when you stop feeding them. Like, yeah, they're really pissed. They're like, where's the rest of my bread? You know, and they will come after you. And it was scary, and we ran back to his car.
Oh yeah, no, and I can never remember because it happened both to myself and my brother when we were kids, and one of us got chased by a goose and one of us got chased by a swan, and I don't remember which was which. But yeah,
swans
those
are
things
more
are
terrifying.
Oh, swans are worse.
Yeah.
Swans are worse.
That's terrifying.
But no, they don't. You don't mess with geese. Like to this day, as an adult, I'm just like, if a goose is around, like I will give it a wide berth. I'm like, I'm not playing with you right now.
Me too. Yeah, I'm so ignorant about wildlife that, you know, I think I probably heard that at some point and I mentioned it, but I didn't know. I mean, it might as well have been a guess not to feed the geese.
Yeah.
But I definitely remember like, and then more of them arrived to join the attack.
They're not the same as ducks. No.
No, they were not silly gooses.
Well, maybe not to you.
Not to me. No.
I bet they thought they were being real silly.
I bet they thought, yeah. They did. They really enjoyed the bread too, until there wasn't any left. And they're faster than you think. I will say that. They're faster than you think. But all right, Logan, what's your next one?
Yeah, so my next one I've mentioned on the show before, Choo Choo Charles. On the surface level, well, no. It's very open about this. It is a horror comedy about a spider train roaming the countryside. Like the main character Charles has this like delicious blend of comic and horrifying in the character design. You just see it like scuttling across the ground. It's like, oh. You can't help but chuckle, but also like just kind of like what am I looking at here at the same time? You know, the NPCs are kind of a riot. I mentioned this in one of my favorite lines in like a previous week, but like he's kind of your guide that you see on the island who is this kooky old man character, but like he describes Charles as like a demon spider train from hell or something like that. The line goes way
great.
Better than that.
What a great line.
Yeah, and you've got like these Charles cultists running around wearing like, you know, these clown kind of looking masks, but in they are kind of, they're not like, they're like creepy clowns if they were kind of funny again. Like they're wearing these hand-drawn like Charles masks that kind of look like a clown because Charles takes inspiration from Thomas, and there's a little bit of like clown energy going on there too.
Clown energy.
Yeah. It's a lot of my games tonight are absurd scenarios. And
which is
absolutely
great.
One of them. Yeah.
I love absurd scenarios. That was one of the things I used to love about Adult Swim. Because there were so many shows that featured absurd humor, and you didn't get a whole lot of that back then. Have you ever seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
No.
I think you would like it. It's super.
Okay.
I mean, it stars a shake, a wad of meat called Meat Wad, and a thing of fries named Frylock.
Cool.
And Meat Wad, I've always loved his voice because it sounds like this. It's still one of my favorite shows. So
Nice.
you should check out the first season, especially. It's just so bizarre. And the episode's only like 11 minutes long. So
Oh, hey, that's nice.
so give it a try. I'm sure you can watch it out there somewhere. But
Hopefully.
cool choice. I love the absurdity. So another one that I wrote down. So in The Legend of Zelda, really, I think starting in A Link to the Past was the first time it happened. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But then also so on and so forth. There are these little chickens, you know, that are just kind of there, kind of innocently running around. And you can hit them with your sword. And if you do, they kind of go, which is not the joke. But it's, you know, it's kind of tempting to do that, unfortunately. And if you hit them a bunch of times, they get really mad. And it's kind of like the geese I was talking before. They, like a whole flood of chicken come down and attack you. The cuckoos is what they're called in the game. Come and attack you. And it's like this flock of them that come and get you. And it happens in all of the Zelda games. So it's just this kind of funny running joke that, you know, the hero of time or the hero of the world or whatever, whichever hero timeline it is, can be taken down by a flock of chickens. I'm assuming that chickens are flocks.
I think we'll have to double check.
Sounds right.
Because there's
really
a gaggle of
chickens,
geese.
though.
Yeah, I don't know anything about chickens except, well, yeah.
They are a flock.
Okay, a flock of chickens. A cuckoos.
Yeah, you never know. English is weird. Like, there'll be one-off animals that you think are called the same as, like, the rest of the animals in their grouping, and they're not.
You Spoony Bard. Imagine making a translation, like a job, like it's like your job, and, you know, decades and decades later, people are still making fun of one choice you probably made at like 3 a.m, just trying to get through this thing. So, but and Jack Burton wrote Katamari Damacy. It's the first and the second one, the first two. The first one's definitely my favorite, but I think that the second one's pretty good too. I still have my original copy that I bought with you at Best Buy, Jack, if you're still listening. So I keep everything. But Jess, what is your next pick?
So keeping in the theme of chaotic animals, my next one is Goat Simulator.
This is good.
It's just ridiculous, and it's buggy, and the physics are not how physics work, and you can just do whatever the hell you want as this psychotic little goat. And if I remember correctly, the game was made in I think a month for a game jam or something.
That's amazing.
The original version of it.
That's so cool.
And it just, I don't know. I love bugs in games as long as they're not game breaking.
Yeah.
But nothing's funnier than a good buggy game that and it works for Goat Simulator because that's the point. It's not meant to be a good quote unquote game. It's meant to be a chaotic, weird little sandbox adventure as this dopey looking goat. And I have played more of that game than I probably should have, but it's just a fun thing to just get into and see how much chaos you can cause.
Cool. And I did look it up. That's what I was looking at just now. It was 4 weeks. You're correct.
I thought it was a crazy timeline. Yeah.
That's
really not that bad, considering.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
And the Burton of Jack says that it's We Love Katamari is the better game by a mile. So I'll need to play. I don't know if I played that one much. Is it on PC, Jack? It's I can just ask anything and it'll just arrive a few seconds later. It's great. All right, Logan, what's your next selection?
Yeah, my next pick is going to be Lego Star Wars. Look, like any Lego game, you're probably going to get, any good Lego game, you're going to get some comedy with it. And Lego Star Wars is just one of the biggest, most classic Lego games there is, and that's one that I played. But, especially the original Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga is funny too, but the original one, you get a lot of physical comedy in the animation. The characters will do, funny dances or weird things at moments that were not originally comedic in the Star Wars movies. And if they were, they're twisted in a new way in the Lego games, which is just fun. And the characters in the original Lego Star Wars games will just make these mumbles and everything, and even in your dramatic moments, they'll just be mumbling the whole time, and it's hilarious. And the voice acting is good in the Skywalker Saga as well, and there'll be some really great lines there. But I'm drawn to the mumbling. The mumbling's funny to the point where I think they added a mumble mode to the modern Lego Star Wars too, because there were people that liked it so much that they wouldn't play it without a mumble mode. So yeah, I love Lego humor. It's great.
Awesome. Cool selection, and Star Wars has gotten mentioned, so that's good. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm out of the ones that I listed, but I want to keep up with y'all, so I definitely have some ones I can pull from. It's been a long time since I played this. I played it way back when it came out. My gosh, was it 9 years ago? It's been a while, but Undertale. So the skeleton, Papyrus.
Yes.
Yeah, right? He wants to capture a human and impress the royal guard, but he can't be mean. And he makes you pasta, right? He gives you, and he also gives you this phone number. And then the thing that I really remember is his attacks are really bad because he's trying to give you a chance. And then his brother Sans is watching from a lawn chair.
Yep.
And that whole sequence, I just remember being really funny in a game that's just fabulous. I want to replay that actually, Undertale. Because it did come out 9 years ago, didn't it? It feels like it's...
I need to finish the playthrough.
That's true, that hurts.
I'll look it up at some point. Or maybe Jack will tell us.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so funny. And even just their names being puns, and that it's Comic Sans and Papyrus.
Yep.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
There's so many clever little things in those games that just take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Okay. September 15th, 2015. So yeah, about that.
It's 11
Oh
years.
no,
almost.
it's more than. Oh God, yeah. I forget what
That's
year
crazy.
it is.
Wild.
That doesn't feel possible.
Let
but
me
okay.
just tell you, it's gonna get a lot worse. It's gonna get a lot worse. Wait till you think, oh yeah, that game's pretty new, and it's like 10 years old, which is happening right now. Maybe 20 years old.
I've been feeling that way as soon now that Minecraft has crossed 15. I've been like, oh, I will cringe when I see it cross 20 because it's going to.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and to like still be playing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't played World of Warcraft probably since like 2006, but that game has been going on for such a long time, and people are playing it. I mean, making a game that people are still playing 20 years later is crazy. 22, I think it came out in 2004. I mean, and it's had expansions and all that and changes, but that's ridiculous and great. Like, I think it's awesome that they made something people love so much, but and Jack says yes. I think that means to being on PC, and I think it was on Game Pass, or it was a while ago. But all right, Jess, what is your next pick?
So this next game was hard to choose specific things from because, in my opinion, it is the king of hilarious bugs, which is of course Skyrim. I think two of my favorites are, first off, if you decide you want to try to fight a giant and you get hit at like the right angle by one, you just go flying into the stratosphere. Like you just get completely launched, and it's hilarious. But another one I remember, this is probably the one I laughed the hardest on, was there was one time I was playing it and I was on the horse, and when you're on the horses, sometimes it allows you to like run up mountains in ways that are like otherwise you're like trying to like jump up and it's really difficult, but like you can kind of brute force your way a little easier on the horses. And so I was doing that because I can't be bothered to walk around the mountains, and I got like halfway up and like all of a sudden the horse just starts to like glitch out and it like shoots itself off of the side of the mountain, and I just go flying for no apparent reason. And that might partially be my fault. I know I had like mods downloaded, and sometimes like that breaks things. But I remember I just like lost it because like I was just like, first off, it's a very funny image of you're just on a horse like going like 90 degrees straight up a mountain, and then all of a sudden like the horse freaks out and like glitches, and then I'm just being like shot like a cannon off of the mountain, and like I land on the ground and I'm like, what just happened? And Skyrim's so like notorious for all of that to happen at all turns, but it was one of the funniest glitches I think I've ever gotten in a game.
No, I've had a horse glitch in Skyrim. This has haunted me ever since it happened. I had some mods installed as well, mostly visual mods, so I'm surprised it happened. But I was playing the opening. I was in the opening cutscene, and we're getting through the speech, and the gates are supposed to open, but they don't open. And the horse keeps walking, and it just starts kind of half clipping into the wall, and then starts sliding off the side. And also, like this whole time, I'm not actually sitting in the back of the cart. I'm sitting like as if I'm riding on the horse. Somehow, my camera's been moved, and eventually it just starts like chaotically spinning and like rolls away. And like I tried restarting the game, and it did this again. I tried removing all the mods, and it kept doing it.
Right, this is the way that broke it.
Yeah, and then I tried uninstalling the game and reinstalling it, and it kept doing it. So I just haven't been able to play Skyrim since then.
Skyrim is so broken. It's such a broken game.
That's great. Glitches could almost be a show topic because there's.
I threw it in there. It's a show topic.
It's on the list.
Oh, sweet! That'll be fun because there's so many. I mean, this is before you guys, but the N64 was notorious for like really hilarious glitches, and that whole period of games, they just had a lot of issues, and they weren't really knowing what they were doing yet with 3D. So, Cool. All right, Logan, what's your next pick?
Yeah, so my next pick is Fallout. I haven't played that much Fallout. Specifically, Fallout 3 is the one that I've played, but I just love the the style of that game, the way they exposit things to you, with like the world building and that kind of stuff. Like the humor in Fallout is they'll say something that sounds absurd to you as a rational human being in reality, but they say it as if it makes complete sense in their world. Like these crazy things about what you need to do to survive in the nuclear wasteland that they now live in, and hints at what capitalism was like for them but in their prior world that, you know, pokes massive holes in how it works, which is hilarious. And a lot of the characters you meet will have been made a little insane by the setting that they live in. It's just kind of a fun, enjoyable, hilarious world to explore sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's 3, if I'm remembering correctly. But I always just remember there's a vault that is filled only with clones of a dude named Gary. And all they say in their dialogue is just like versions of their name Gary. And I forget the lore for it, of like something happened and like everybody else in the vault died except for this one dude that they cloned and his name was Gary, and so there's just a vault full of Garys. And I was like, this is insane.
That's cool. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Final Fantasy X music is playing in the background. I should mention, I was going to wait till Jack was back, but I have to mention a little bit. We went to the Final Fantasy Symphony in Kansas City last week, and it was amazing. Like, it was so good. It was like, I thought it was going to be good, but it was better than I thought it was going to be. And he got us really good seats. Like, we were freaking like right on top of the symphony. It was like amazing. And it was so powerful throughout, and the audience was super into it. Like, you could tell everyone was just having a really great time. And of course, the highlight for me was Final Fantasy VII, which they did an amazing job with, and I was really touched. And they went 6, 10, and then 7, so they wouldn't do 6, 7 together, and they specifically mentioned that at the beginning. And they threw in a song from Final Fantasy V at the end, which was Jack's favorite. I'll let him talk about it next time. But it was really cool that they threw that in, because that's, you know, wasn't released in the United States originally. So very cool. I strongly recommend you check out the Kansas City Symphony. All right, so I'm gonna add another one, Magica, which was a fun game that came out. Oh, Jack says, so disappointed I'm not talking with you about it. The Chocobo theme on tuba was sublime. It was a tuba solo. It was so great. Of the choke, it was like, and it was like so featured on the tuba, and like it was so funny. It was so great. And it actually sounded good too. That was the other cool thing about it. Was it was funny and sounded good. So very cool. And I'm sure we'll talk about it again next time, but I just, with the music going on in the background, I just couldn't not mention it. So Magica was a funny game that came out, I think in like 2010. I could be wrong on that, but it was around that period. And there's a couple funny bits that they do. So one is just like the language. It sounds like it's English, but it's not. And you have like syllables that are kind of recognizable, but it never becomes actual words. And the game plays every line like super sincere. So they're acting like it's not gibberish, but it is. And the sincerity is what makes it funny. And another funny one, I love vampires. As I know you do too. Vampires have been probably my favorite creature of the night. And there's a character named Vlad, okay, which gives you a hint. He has fangs. He has a cape. He comes from a coffin. He recoils from garlic. What else? He can't go into buildings without being invited. And he has a Transylvanian accent. But so the whole game, he insists that he's not a vampire. He never wavers. Okay, it never, it's just funny because he's obviously a vampire. So some other kind of funny ones. The tutorial kills you all the time while it's teaching you to play the game. And this made me really mad the first time I played it. But as it's teaching you, like, it constantly kills you. And it's really funny. So yeah, just in general, it's a pretty fun game, and it's really focused on multiplayer. So if it's ever on like Super Sale or something, you might want to pick it up. By the way, We Love Katamari is on sale right now on Xbox, 75% off.
That's cool.
Since we were talking about it. So cool. All right, Jess, what is your next one?
My next one is Tomodachi Life, which I probably should have put in a news thing at the top for me. There's the new Tomodachi Life that's coming out soon, and you can download the demo of it on the Switch for free at the moment.
Oh, cool.
I played it. It's a very quick demo, not a whole lot to do. You can only make 2 Miis, and it's pretty contained. But I do think that the game is going to be pretty fun. And super fun. You can get it on the Switch 1. So if you don't have a Switch 2, you can still play the new game.
Nice.
So that was good news for me because I very much wanted to play it, but do not have a Switch 2. But those games are insane. So for anyone who doesn't know, you essentially are this kind of like god-like creature that oversees this world of Miis that you get to create and then like shove together, and then they interact with each other. And it's like encouraged. They're like, yeah, you make it your friends, your family, celebrities, fictional characters, whatever you want, and then just see what kind of chaos comes from it. And it gets weird.
Well, I like weird.
They lean into it. Like, they are like, the Miis will like fall in love with each other, and then like they'll become enemies, and there's like all these dramatic like plot lines that can go on between them. You can see like dreams of them, and the dreams get like really weird and trippy. In the demo for the new one, you get to decide like what the Miis refer to you as. So for me, I chose my liege. And so like they'll do whatever you say, and you really are just kind of like this god. And like, you're given like a large hand that you get to use to like pick them up and like move them around. Like, you actually are this like large eldritch being running their lives. What
the hand from Smash Bros does in its off time.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just, it's really chaotic. It's really fun. I was nervous about the new one because I was worried that they were going to like pull back on the weirdness. And I am hopeful, from what I've heard, that maybe that's not going to be the case. Remains to be seen, as the new game isn't fully out. But the old one, which I want to say came out in like 2010 maybe. Very chaotic, very weird, very dramatic. Kind of everything that I want like The Sims to be nowadays. And that legit, just you have like no agency over the Miis for the most part, and they're just kind of like off doing whatever they want, and you just kind of have to see how it pans out. And sometimes it's what you want, and sometimes you're like, why did you choose to do this? But it's always funny.
That sounds fun.
That sounds great.
It kind of gives me some similar vibes like Miitopia, and some of the chaos you can create with the Miis in that game. Different genre completely, but yeah.
And then, that's not even getting into the utterly hilarious / cursed Miis that people manage to make.
That's half the fun with Miis.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the level of like customization that you can do with them now I'm very intrigued to see what people come up with, because you can like more accurately like paint on things, and like there's just a whole other level of what you can do with the customization. So I'm hopeful for some really cursed me creations when the full game comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. It sounds like it'd be fun on the go too.
Mm-hmm. It's a very chill kind of like hop in, hop out. Like there are things to do, but it's not you're gonna miss out if you only sink 20 minutes into it playing here or there. So it's a nice balance of fun, but not super time consuming.
I like that. I wish more games were not super time consuming.
Yeah.
Maximus Prime writes, it can't stay long, but I think Deadpool the game is funny and Trover saves eaters. I have not played the Deadpool game, but I love I've loved Deadpool since the comics when I was,
impressive
in the 90s. Like, he also says High on Life is funny and Onion Boy commits tax evasion are the last games I remember. Have either of you played High on Life?
No.
It's done by so Justin Roiland of Rick and Morty, who I think is still not looked at positively. I kind of stopped looking into him or any of his projects after he imprisoned someone in his basement. Right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah.
Like it was pretty.
It was something.
It's like really bad, like really awful, like beyond the pale. But the game, so he's not a part of that company anymore. And I from if I remember correctly, he definitely didn't have anything to do with the second one. And I think he might have just done some of the voice acting for the first one. And he hadn't written for Rick and Morty or that for like a very long time. Like he'd been pretty much out to lunch. But the first High on Life was really funny and fun to play. So if, it's harder to play it now because we know what he was, but when I played it, I didn't know that yet. But so definitely was a funny game and then spoiled by his real world antics.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be a terrible person.
Mm-mm.
It's good advice. All right, Logan, what's your next one?
Yeah, so my next one is Make It Meme, which is an online meme sandbox. You play with your friends. It's competitive meme making. Essentially, you get given these classic meme templates, and you get to fill them in with whatever you want, which can lead to some chaotic memes on the fly. But like the best memory I have from this game is my friends and I spawned this entire like narrative generated from like one meme in particular that people kept like piggybacking off of in following rounds, and it just spiraled into this massive narrative. Like we saved all the memes in a Google Doc that is at least like 40 pages long, full of different memes.
That's
we
great.
have like barely organized into a timeline that makes some kind of sense. There's still some plot holes that need to be ironed out, but like it's wild. It's just what you can do with a meme sandbox is absolutely hilarious.
I love it. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go ahead and go to my April Fool's section, but you guys can continue on your regular section just because I want to make sure I get through some of these because I think some of them are really funny. So the first one, I fell for Hook, Line, and Sinker. But in April, and I put this in that's not on the game show video at the beginning of this, but in April of 1992, EGM ran without any kind of warning a secret code for unlocking a character named Sheng Long, which came from kind of a mistranslated Ryu line. And the instructions were like crazy. Like you had to play and like not ever get hit. And there was like this whole long sequence of things to do it. And everyone thought it was real because the kind of precedence for doing April Fool's jokes like this just hadn't been said. So thousands and thousands, I like knew tons of people that had tried it. There were people that I knew that said that they'd achieved it, that they'd actually like swore up and down that they were able to do it. And it was, of course, not possible. They did a really good job. This is before Photoshop, of editing a picture to make it look like it actually happened in the game, in the magazine too. And it was so funny and eventually well received once people got over their frustrations, that they ran a follow-up fake the next year, and it kind of became a tradition. But Sheng Long was one of the best. The first one. Tricky. All right, Jess, what's your next one?
My next one is a game that I know I've talked about before, but it's the SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom game.
It's so
back
good.
In the early 2000s. It's legitimately, I think, a pretty good platformer game. And I hesitate to say that I was a huge SpongeBob fan, but my younger brother was certainly a huge SpongeBob fan. So by association, I got to the point where I think I could probably quote the majority of SpongeBob episodes, because it was just always on in the house. And they're such hilarious, ridiculous characters. And I do think that they were able to take a lot of that and put it into the game. And so in addition to just, I think, being a decent game, it was also just, it had that SpongeBob SquarePants, Patrick, and just everybody was really fun and hilarious, as they always are. And I think it's a game that I feel actually holds up decently well, all things considered.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I am not at all a SpongeBob fan. In fact, I don't like SpongeBob. I actually like the earlier Nicktoons, but SpongeBob just for some reason doesn't hit with me. But I think that game's great. I think it's potentially the best or one of the best Nickelodeon games, and I think it still holds up. BreakmanX actually a few years ago played it, the GameCube version of it, and really liked it. Ooh. So I think it stands up because he's not a huge into like the older games. So if it hits him, then it's probably stands up pretty well.
Yeah, I imagine, because I don't know, I always struggle when I go back to play games like that, because I'm like, how much of this is like nostalgia? And I feel like because I played a lot of the earlier games, I have a higher threshold for kind of maybe irritating things that if you didn't play some of those older, really not great games, you won't have. So yeah, if he thought it was good, then I feel like it probably actually does hold up pretty well, which makes me very happy to hear.
Yeah, no, I think he played all the way through it.
Nice.
So he definitely wouldn't spend the time if it wasn't. So and he would ask, because I'd have to get him into the GameCube because it's not like the modern systems. So very good choice. All right, Logan, what's your next pick?
Yeah, I am gonna go with. We'll go with Repo for my next one. Another multiplayer game. Another horror comedy. Mostly the comic thing about this is the character design. You're these little robot looking things, but the nice thing is you've got your voice chat on the whole time with proximity chat, but the robots will animate. They're these like cylindrical character designs, and the whole top portion of the robot will hinge open whenever you speak into your mic, so the robot will just be like going like this as you're speaking. And they've got these like two massive like googly eyes stuck on the top, and it's just this hilarious visual to watch your friends like hopping around the map in this horrifying setting you're in, avoiding monsters and that kind of thing. And whenever somebody talks, the mouth will just be going up and down. It's great.
That sounds great. Mm-hmm. What's also really fun about this episode is like watching you guys talk about it, because you can just tell how much enjoyment you got out of it by the way you deliver the stories. So it's been a lot of fun so far. All right, so another one, and Logan might be interested in this one because it's about Sonic. So April 1996. This is another fake Street Fighter 2 unlock, but they posted again with well done screenshots. Sonic being unlocked into Street Fighter 2, and this was even more sought after then than it would be now because besides Sonic being at peak popularity, it also was completely unheard of to have crossovers in games. Like, you didn't have Smash Brothers or anything yet. So it was a really, really big deal to have a different character in a different game. So are you looking at the screenshots, Logan?
What are the screenshots again? What's the best way to find them? Let's see.
I would just EGM Sonic Unlocked 96. Probably find him. Or I can show you my copy of EGM. EGM Sonic Unlock 96.
Oh, I think I see one. Yeah, new foes appeared. Okay, that's a pretty good screenshot.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Yep. Especially for 96.
Yep. When computers were super slow at everything you did. So. All right, Jess, what's your next pick?
My next pick is West of Loathing, which is a story-driven comedy game where your character is this little stick figure, and you're making your way through the Old West. And it's one of those really hilarious, over the top at every opportunity kind of games. Everything is a pun. Everything is taken to the next level. You've got really hilarious walking animations that the character can do. There's a lot of really physical humor with the fact that they're all stick figures. Lots of puns. It's really hard to describe without playing it because the comedy really just is in the absurdity of everything that's happening. And it has this which is one of my favorite ways of telling jokes, which is you're allowed to do something and something minorly bad happens, and then you get 12 more opportunities to do the same thing at other instances, and the amount of horrible that continues to happen goes up every single time you do it. And it gets to the point where even the game's why did you think that this was going to go any other way? But you still have the opportunity to continue to do the really dumb thing. Like in West of Loathing, it's digging around in a spittoon, which is disgusting and horrible, and they're able to make it so funny. But it's just constant, ridiculous, absurd, heightened situations, lots of puns, and lots of just funny, stick figure physicality humor.
That sounds really fun. I also love the title. West of Loathing is another. There's certain titles that just stick with you. That one is definitely one that's a good one. For sure. All right, Logan.
And I think,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think there's a sequel that I never actually played that I think is called Shadows Over Loathing. And then I also think that there was a game that went before it. It was Kingdom of Loathing or something. It's a whole universe type of thing, but I only ever played the middle one, West of Loathing.
Cool. Oh, and Jack Burton writes in Simon Belmont in NES TMNT2. I remember that one too. Was that? I don't think that was an EGM, but that was in something. Jack will probably let us know. But that was a pretty funny, cool one. All right, Logan, what's your next selection?
I'm going to move over to my April Fool's jokes section as well and piggyback off of your Sonic thing. So I'm going to go with Sanic.
That sounds evil.
I discovered the other day that the Sanic drawing, it was not specifically drawn on April 1st. It was drawn on March 31st though, which is, close enough in my book to be an April Fool's related event. And boy, that one has lasted. Like, that character has stuck around far longer than I think it was ever intended to. And I'm kind of here for it. Like, the fact that it made a appearance in this official Sonic movie feels like a milestone for that particular joke. So,
Wait, he was in the movie?
yeah, okay, so in the original movie, there was a guy that knew Sonic was in the town before anybody else did, and he held up this picture that he drew of what he thought the creature looked like, and that was Sonic.
Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I totally didn't get that when I watched the movie, but now I get the connection. That's hilarious. I love that. So apparently the Super Mario Odyssey movie that came out today, I think, has tons of really great references in it. So I'm pretty stoked as a lifelong Nintendo
That
fan.
was Galaxy, not Odyssey.
Did I say Odyssey?
Yes.
Oh, no, it's Galaxy. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Galaxy movie, which came out today. It supposedly has a lot of really good Nintendo references, like throughout, like packed, which I'm totally cool with. Some people thought they were annoying. I'm hoping we get to see it this week, although with everything going on, it is kind of doubtful. But it would be really fun. All right, so my next one has to do with cows. And so this was StarCraft in 2002. They had one where they had released a cow in marine armor for the game, and it had like concept art and stats and the whole 9 yards to play as a cow. And it was so popular and kind of well received in the community that it actually became an Easter egg going forward in games, Blizzard games. So I don't know. Cows are funny. They just,
Yeah.
there's something about cows in general. You know, like the way that they moo and everything is just like hilarious. And they're such like calm, like chill, unless you make them mad.
They're chill until they decide they're not, and then they're like massive.
Oh yeah,
scary.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
I was really scared of cows when I was a kid. Because this is not funny at all. Our school nurse got trampled by her cows.
Oh my god, that's super dangerous.
She was okay. Overall, but ever since then, I was just like, I was terrified of cows because I'm like, oh, they can just decide to do that. Which now, as an adult, I understand that like any animal can decide to do that at any point, and that's just kind of the nature of animals. But I was like, oh, I would have been like probably 8 when that happened, and I just remember being like, cows are terrifying.
Yeah, I would be afraid of cows
it's kind
forever.
of terrifying when they're big enough and have that much weight. That
they're super heavy.
Yeah.
My grandpa had a farm, so I saw, a lot of cows growing up, and they were always chill, but I guess I wasn't, in their line of fire. And they're always around their salt lick, which now we're getting really country. But they really liked their salt.
Yeah.
So,
well, mine just have your head on straight.
Yeah, I think
Don't
this
do anything
is
stupid.
I think this is the first mention of cows potentially in game show history. So
No, I talked about cows earlier with
oh, that's
Mark.
right. That's right. So this episode, baby.
Yeah.
The cow episode.
The cow episode.
The cow episode. That's the subtitle.
There you go. We used to always have like bizarre names for them. That was some random phrase that someone would say during the show and be like, oh, that's the name of the episode. So that was fun. All right, Jess, what's your next pick?
My next pick is also a game I've talked about before, but it's Date Everything, which is just inherently ridiculous in its conception, which is that you get a magic pair of glasses that allows you to turn the objects in your house into human beings that you can date, which is insane. But they honestly do a remarkable job of actually characterizing all of these characters, and it has some of the most hilarious dialogue I have encountered in a video game ever. Just because the premise is so insane, they're able to like go there. Like there's one you can like date the wall, and the wall just screams the word wall at you repeatedly, and if you also scream the word wall back, he instantly falls in love with you. And it's like, well, okay, cool, I guess we're doing this. And it's just like little things like that, and they just lean so hard into the absurdity of it all, and it's so phenomenally well voice acted that even the most insane things like land in the way that they want them to. And so I actually found it much more impressive than I even wanted to going into it. I was like, this is dumb, but I have to see what everyone's talking about. And then I got into it, I was like, oh no, this is actually a really good game, even though it's insane.
That sounds amazing. And I love the absurd humor of that kind of stuff. That humor just always really gets me. So that's great. That's great. All right, Logan, what's your next pick?
Yeah, so my next pick, also in the April Fool's Day joke category, is all of the April Fool's Day Minecraft snapshots. Like, this is, I think, one of the coolest April Fool's Day occurrences in gaming, because Minecraft tends to put a lot of effort into this. Like, they create whole forks of the game with features that are specific to April Fool's Day. And these days it happens like they'll do this every year. Like it used to be every few years, and they'd spread them out in between like other smaller April Fool's jokes. But these days it's pretty consistent. Every year you can expect a custom version of the game that's been modified for April Fool's Day. And they've got all kinds of these weird, like, experimental versions of the game. Like, you've got the original one was called 2.0, and it was the Love and Hugs update. Like, they made one of the boss mobs like pink, and they added a bunch of strange features. Then there was like a trendy update that added computers and VR goggles and holograms to the game. And then you had this like 3D shareware 90s themed one, and Infinity one that added infinite dimensions to the game. That was pretty fun. Like, you could build portals out of different block combinations that could take you to any like procedurally generated dimension that you wanted to try to generate. And then there was one that like allowed you to only use one block at a time and created like a custom game mode. And then there's a few other, like, they released a new one today that I haven't tried yet, but I've heard some interesting things about what's in there, and it's intriguing. Like, I think they may have, I don't know for sure, I haven't tried it myself, but one thing that people have been wanting in Minecraft for a long time is dynamic lighting. Things like if you have a mob that has lights on it, it will actually glow on the blocks around it, or if you're holding a torch, it'll glow around you. Right now, only like blocks can emit light, not entities or things that move. But I've heard that this snapshot actually includes that feature in there, which is interesting because sometimes they'll include experiments that they're working on in the background and just haven't fully released yet in these things. So it's kind of fun.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love how it adds to it, and then they just commit to the joke too.
Oh yeah, and the nice thing too is that because Minecraft, they preserve all of their old prior versions, and you can play them whenever you want. You can still play the old April Fool's Day versions, just like all the other ones.
You know me with archiving stuff, so that sounds great. I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so cool. All right, so my next one, this was when Portal 2 was about to release, and you know, Valve has a great sense of humor in general, and I remember like I was super excited for Portal 2 because I loved Portal 1, and I remember this is during the Padinga days. Eric Robbins was able to. I remember he was excited because we got a code to be able to play it early, but Valve announced an ARG, like an alternate reality game that was to drop on April 1st, and everyone just assumed it was an April Fool's joke, and the joke was that it wasn't. And it like backfired on them. Like everyone thought and kind of ignored it because they thought it was an April Fool's joke, and then it ended up being real. So kind of a reverse on what we're talking about. But I always, you know, people are so used to that they just assumed that it was a joke. So
yeah, I mean, we've gotten to a point where if anything gets announced on April 1st, just in general, you just don't believe that it's true. even sometimes when things come out that prove that it is.
Mhm.
Like the internet is still like, nope, but it's April 1st, so it's not real.
What people will and won't believe is pretty fascinating. Like in general,
Yeah.
like that whole phenomenon of what is credible and what is incredible is like, and it varies from person to person. So, well, Jess, you might be the last pick, unless Logan, after that, you want to hit one up there at the end because we're getting close to the end. So, what is it?
So my last pick is the game Octodad, which, if you don't know, is a game in which you play as an octopus that is pretending to be a human being and has infiltrated a human family, and you have to go about his daily life without revealing the fact that you are in fact an octopus, which is extra hilarious when you consider the fact that like the character model is literally just an octopus in human clothing. And should be remarkably obvious that he's an octopus, but it's not. So yeah, the whole thing is just like, you're this very obvious octopus and you've got to like try to control him and make him do human tasks without anyone figuring out that you're not human. And the artwork of it is just beautiful and hilarious to look at.
Sounds great. Octopi are funny in general too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Funny aliens. You know why I say that, right? There was this whole thing where, okay.
Yeah, ridiculous
Otherwise-
theory, but a fun one nonetheless.
Right, exactly. All right, Logan, do you want to hit us up with one final one here at the
Yes.
buzzer?
This will be quick, but for a few years in a row there, I don't know if they're doing it again. I think they stopped doing it last year, but Among Us introduced a horse mode on April Fool's Day. Like, they actually lengthened the character, gave them 4 legs instead of 2, and you'd run around as horses on April Fool's Day. That was pretty fun.
That sounds great. That sounds
Yes.
funny. Well, it's that time to wrap up. So, Jess, what are you going to be doing this week?
Well, for me, just kind of more of the same. I've got pretty much all of my final versions, or at least mostly final versions of everything, are due in the next 3-ish weeks. So it's like the final sprint. I've got probably 100 pages to write in the next week. But soon I will be able to take a breath, so I'm looking forward to that.
I look forward to your breath and your work being done. And Logan, how about you?
As I mentioned earlier, I'm mainly looking forward to starting the new internship next week, which I'm very, very excited about. Also excited because next week my film is showing at the Bison Film Fest, which means I'm going to be missing Wi-Fi, but hey, another opportunity to screen Edge of Oblivion. So
That's super awesome. I'm glad your movie's getting attention. That's really great. I will be at Wi-Fi. I'm pretty excited. I'll talk more about it probably next week. But Wi-Fi Film Festival is going to be a week from this Friday. I have some awesome guests. We have this screenwriter coming in from LA. She's pretty awesome. Wait, I can't point the right direction. She's right here. So come check out Jess's awesome workshop. So I will see you same time next week on the game show.